Janos Martenyi, and this is a new episode of My Pride, My Story. My guest today is Fiona Horsley, Miss Bootblack South Africa 2017, and we're going to talk about her coming out and about her first Pride experience. Fiona, when did you felt first that you are different?
I was in high school. I was about 16 years old, and I just had this like really intense infatuation with a girl that was a little bit older than me, and she was a couple of grades higher in high school than I was, and I just felt something was changing. It's almost like I felt a light switch had changed. From because when I was in what we call primary school, I was very much into the boys, and then when I got to high school, I felt like something had just changed. So that was around about when I was 16 years old. I noticed something was definitely changing. Something was definitely. I noticed that I felt different. Things were happening, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Was
Did this new feeling make you scared?
Oh, definitely, very much so, because I had a fellow friend. I had a friend that was definitely lesbian, and everybody used to make fun of her. And I wanted to stand up and say, she's not the only one, because I was scared I was going to get teased. I was scared I was going to get bullied. So I just kept my mouth shut. And at the same time, I was just discovering myself, my own identity. So I didn't want to. I was very, very confused and very like, what do I do at that age, at 16? So, and I was definitely scared.
Where could you look for comfort, for information?
Well, when I was 16, I was in the 90s, and so the on the internet was very, very scarce. You're not like today where you just click on a button and you find some information. I didn't have any other friends I could turn to, or know of any organizations I can approach. Nothing. So it was very lonely. I just was looking on the TV for a TV program or a movie where they had a lesbian character or a gay character, and see myself somebody I could relate to that way. But I didn't actually. Now that I think about it, I didn't actually try and find any answers, or I was trying to figure it out for myself.
You mentioned that you were 16 when you felt attracted to girls. Did you say out loud for yourself that you are a lesbian?
I think it was around about 17 when things started progressing further, and by the time I got to 18, it was only then that I actually say, I'm lesbian, I'm gay. It was only at 18, 2 years later.
Did you came out immediately to your family and friends?
I was too scared, because I was scared of what are my friends going to say. Am I going to be rejected? Am I going to be kicked out of my house? What are my mom and dad going to say? Society says, being gay or being different is not acceptable. At that time in South Africa, gay marriage wasn't even legal yet. We didn't have any rights yet. So it was, I just very, very.
You grew up in a conservative or in an open-minded family?
My mom is very open-minded. I can talk to her about anything. It's just my father was very. The words that came out of his mouth, things that he spoke about when it came to homosexual gay people, was very frightening, and I just was very scared to actually say, Dad, one of those people that you're making fun of, I'm one of those people. I was actually very scared to say that to him, because I was scared of his reaction. But my mom was actually a lot more open-minded, a lot more. The channel of communications there between my mom and myself. Yeah. And my sister is also, I've got an older sister, so I felt I could actually say something, but at the same time, I didn't, because I was scared. I was very confused. What do I do? What is the right way to turn?
You were 18 when you say that loud that you are a lesbian. Did you immediately find love, or did you have to wait for that?
I didn't find love, but I just found somebody that liked me, liked me for me, and wants to know me and wants to have a relationship with me. That was only at the age of 22, because I went through the whole stage of, okay, this is who I am. This is okay. This is who I am. This is definitely who I am. But then I was scared. What do I do? Am I going to be rejected? Then it took me another 2 years to get to 22, where I had my first relationship. But there was lots of of people that I met during that time that I was interested in, but they were interested in other people. So it was, yeah. So there's lots of women that I've met that I liked, and it ended up just being friends and not actually pursuing a more of a romantic relationship. It was just, yeah.
When you had your first romantic relationship, you immediately came out to your family?
So when I was 18, I accepted myself at 18. Only at the age of 22 did once I had found somebody, that I actually said to mom and my sister and to my brother-in-law, if this is who I am. But I still was too scared to actually open my mouth and say anything to my father.
How was the reaction of your mother and your sister?
Sister was fine. My brother-in-law was fine. My brother-in-law was more humorous approach. He was like, "Oh, now I've got somebody else to check out the girls with." He took a more the humorous, response to it. My mom's first reaction was like, "Don't you want to have children? Don't you want to have be married and financial stability?" I said, "Yes, of course, but I don't need to be in a relationship with a man. I can have a child if I want to. I can get married, because by then gay marriage in South Africa was legal. Now I can get married. I can have all those things. I don't really have to be in a relationship with a man to have those things." And then soon after that, after much discussion, it's like, "Well, if you're happy, and I'm happy. If you want this, this your life, and I'm here to support you." So that was, from being, her first reaction was like, "Okay, well, don't you want all these things to? Okay, if you're happy, that's great, and I support you." It was a bit of a progress, a bit of a short period of time where she went from that to the full accepting.
Did it create a tension in the family that you came out for your mother and your sister, but not for your father?
My mom said, well, both my mom and my sister said to me, one day you are going to have that conversation with your dad, because he does want to know, why don't you have any boyfriends, and why haven't you spoken about getting married and having children and all those things. And he actually asked me on the phone, now that I think about it. One day, actually, we were speaking on the phone, because he was living in Johannesburg at the time, and I was now in Cape Town. And he was asking me, why don't you have a boyfriend, and why don't you have a child yet? And I was like, "Dad, I'm not interested. I don't want to have a child." But I couldn't bring myself to actually say, "Dad, I'm lesbian."
How long did you have to wait for this conversation with your father?
My dad actually ended up moving to Cape Town, but I just had this block of not being able to say anything. And then my dad died in 2016. I never actually got the chance to say, "Dad, this is who I am."
Do you think he knew it?
I think he must have put two and two together. He must have realized, my daughter's um, over 40 years old. She hasn't had a boyfriend. She hasn't wanted children or all those things. Maybe she is. Maybe he was the one waiting for me to actually say something. Maybe he did actually know, but didn't want to admit it at the same time.
Do you regret it that you never sit down with him?
A small part of me does actually regret actually, sitting down and actually having that conversation, even though I would have been petrified and would have had my heart beating 100 miles an hour. I think I would have had to have that conversation sooner or later. And in a way, I actually am a little bit disappointed that I didn't actually do it.
You said your coming out went quite well with your family. What was the situation in your professional life?
Everybody had a partner. Everybody had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whatever. Um, I never actually said anything. I didn't have anybody in my life. Um, so they didn't actually ask. And then one day the topic came up, the LGBT topic came up. And one of my co-workers actually said, "Well, my mom and dad actually had to get married to hide the fact that they were gay. Both their parents are gay." So that was the door for me to actually say to, on the side, have our own little private conversation. And I said to, just so you know, I'm actually quite nice to hear the story. And by the way, I am as well. So it was a nice way to actually, that was a nice icebreaker. But other than that, I kept my sexuality to myself. And then yeah, just before I left, funny enough, I was one of my co-workers. We had a conversation as well, and when it came up, and I was brave enough to actually say, yeah, by the way, yeah.
How did fetish and kink came into your life? Was it already from the beginning?
No, it wasn't from the beginning. It was funny enough. That was the later part of 2012. Um, I was approached by somebody online by the name of Yaku Lawrence. He was the head of SLF at the time, and he knew of my business called Rainbow Goodies, and I sell at my Pride stuff online. And he happened to, obviously, he found me online that way, and he approached me and said, I'm about to have our own version of a Folsom or weekend. We're going to try and have our own little, try and have something similar to that in South Africa and Cape Town. And he said, I would like to have your stall at my event. So I went along and I was introduced to a whole bunch of leather men, because at the time it wasn't SA Leather South Africa, it was SA Leather Men. And he basically introduced me. He said they've just only then changed their constitution to allow everybody, be it any orientation, any identity, any person was welcome into the group. So that just when I was meeting them, they changed from SA Leather Men to SA Leather. So then they started having events where I was actually invited to attend and got to go to workshops. And then I said, I want to explore. I'm interested. And that was basically the door, that opened to the kink and leather community.
How was that time and how is now the situation for the fetish community in South Africa?
Unfortunately, shortly after I got back from America, after I ran for International Miss Bootblack, we had our annual meeting that I think was July, August of 2017. Yeah, we had our annual meeting, and the then chairman just said, unfortunately, he doesn't want to be involved, and his husband was also part of the committee, and then all of a sudden, the whole committee decided they don't want to actually be a committee anymore. That everybody was going to do their own thing. So they basically all fell apart.
So at the moment, there is no fetish community in South Africa.
But it's very much underground. Everybody is on FetLife, and they go to house parties. We don't have a dungeon to go to. There's no leather bars in Cape Town. There's no bars where we can actually go. So everybody relies on FetLife to go to house parties. And there's a couple in Cape Town that you can go to. They have a party every second Saturday. There's a party. There's a house party. So everything's pretty much underground. That's what when I went to America, I was actually amazed at how open everything is and how there's so much more access to the leather and kink community. Whereas in South Africa, everything seems to be very much underground. Everything is just off FetLife, and so that unfortunately that's the situation of the leather community at the moment.
Let's fast forward a little bit. You get into kink community and then you immediately run for a title, Miss Bootblack South Africa. Why you felt the need that you had to run for this title?
Well, it all started in December of 2014 when we had our annual SA Leather title weekend, our contest weekend. And a whole bunch of internationals came to South Africa to actually attend the contest. And there was Patty and the current then Miss IML title holder Raymond was there, and a whole bunch of quite a lot of important leather folk were there. Hardy Harberman was there. There was a lot of leather folks that came over, and during that weekend, Patty had a Bootblack kit available, and they're going to raffle it off to raise funds for the new title holders. And but they thought, no, we're actually going to hand it over to somebody that's going to actually use it, who's actually we think should actually own this Bootblack kit. And it was brought down all the way from Darrow, who was in Portland, Oregon, to Patty in Canada. From Canada all the way down to South Africa. It was brought down that way, and they gave it to me. And it was almost a very surreal moment where everything stood still. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that, where everything just seems to slow down. And they were saying all these really nice things. I can't even remember what they said. It was just this very surreal moment. And then it was almost there and then I thought, this is it. This is a light bulb moment. I must be this is my calling. I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I felt I wanted to become a bootblack. This was like a light bulb moment, confirming that moment, that thought. Because earlier in that year, Leslie Anderson had come over to South Africa and gave us a bootblack workshop. And I actually said that evening, I'm going to be the first bootblack for SLFC. And it just blossomed from there. Then for 2 years after that, I had online Skype sessions with Dara, who's the International Miss Bootblack 2014. For 2 years, we Skyped for 2 years, and I thought this is who, my part of the community. This is where I'm meant to be, and as a bootblack.
Then you traveled to the US.
I wanted to go to compete for International Miss Bootblack because I wanted to represent my community. I wanted to say, yes, we're small. Yes, it's only at that time there's only 21 members of SLA that are active, and I thought I want to represent my community. I want to go there for myself. I want to go and actually do this to put myself in a situation out of my comfort zone, because it's quite a big step from being in SLA where it's so small. We don't have any leather clubs or anything. It's just SLA as a group. There's only the 15 or 20 people at that time. I wanted to go there to represent South Africa and to prove to myself that I can actually do this.
Did it change your life?
Oh yes, it's changed my life in a big deal, because the amount of connections that I've made, all the people that I've met, the experiences that I had, my class of Bootblacks and other ladies that competed for International Miss Bootblack, International Miss Leather, all 13 of us still talk to this day. We have a Marco Polo group that we all chat on Facebook, that we still have that connection. We still have that bond of a group of people that I've been asked to go back to America to actually bootblack at an event. So it definitely has changed my life. And also on a more personal side, I'm actually become more confident, because I'm actually quite a shy, reserved person. But going from South Africa to compete overseas, to meet all those people, and putting myself in a situation that's outside of my comfort zone, has actually pushed me to become more confident in myself, and not to actually be scared to actually talk. Like even now, talking to you 5, 10, 15 years ago, I wouldn't even dreamt of doing something like this. It's to be confident enough to actually speak about my life and what I've done and what I've achieved, and to somebody that I don't know. It's quite an accomplishment for me, because as I say, I'm quite shy and quite quiet, and but at the same time now I'm more confident to actually do those kind of things, because I've actually been more involved in the community, had that international exposure. It definitely has changed my life.
Let's talk about your first pride. Where was it and how old were you?
Yeah, it was in Johannesburg, because I was still living in Johannesburg, and I went by myself, because again, I didn't really have a group of friends that were gay at that time, or a part of the LGBTQ plus community at that point. I went by myself, and the crowd was quite a big group for. There was about 20,000 people at the event. I was very, very nervous. I was like, okay, hopefully nobody's going to see me. But I can't even remember how old I was, funny enough. I can't actually remember how old I was. Maybe, sure, let me think now. 23. It was shortly after I actually came out to my family. Yeah, so I was around about, when I was about 23, I was my first Pride event in Johannesburg. And we went through the center of Johannesburg by myself. Yeah, so it's quite an experience to see that diverse group of people, all there for the common cause of pride and being proud of who we are. So it was quite an experience to actually. I like to watch people, so to actually watch that diversity and how people are expressing themselves, it was quite exciting, to be honest.
Do you think the prides in South Africa are different than in any other places of the world? Are they more commercial or more protest?
Well, now that I think about it, the images that I've seen of the Pride events overseas compared to South Africa, ours is a lot more subdued. I mean, what I've seen overseas, especially in America, it's, it's lots of um, commercial, lots of businesses that are involved. It's all about how much money you're making, kind of vibe. It's a lot of bigger and a lot flashier, and a lot of money's gone into it. And whereas the South African prides that I've been to are very subdued. I mean, our floats are nowhere near what you see overseas. Ours are like very plain. Or the people there are extremely diverse. There's no police involved. The only time you'll see a police officer is basically to stop the traffic. That's the only time you see a police officer, because I know there's quite a big thing with the police involvement in American prides. But in South Africa, you don't see the police officers. They're not there. It's a lot more relaxed. Um, so that's all I can really think of right now. Is that ours is a lot, not as a commercial, not look like a money-making scheme.
What do you think, for what you have to fight for nowadays in South Africa?
I think we still, even though we have in our constitution, we do have rights to protect us from discrimination. But there still are groups out there that want to change the constitution to take that away. You still have people that are with their religious science at Pride trying to make a scene about being gay and all of that. So there are people that still want to take away our rights. So that's even though we have a constitutional right to exist and to have acceptance and no discrimination, there are still people that want to take it away, especially from the religious side of things, the religious groups. There's two cases going on at the moment in South Africa where the lesbian couples want to get married at a venue like wine farms. And they are saying, due to our religious beliefs, we do not accept or won't have your wedding at our venue. So that is still happening, even though our constitutional right to not be discriminated is there.
Do you think the kids of today have it easier than you had?
Like I said earlier, they've got a lot more access to information, a lot more access to talk to somebody that can help them, where I didn't have that. So they, in a way, they feel more confident to be themselves, to be more open. Where growing up, there were a lot of people that kept it hidden, like I did. So today, I think a lot of people are more open. Young people are more open about who they are. They have more access to information and support, where I didn't have that. So there's definitely a difference.
If you could be again 12, what would you do differently?
Not to be scared, to be bold enough to actually to take those steps and actually be more open and not be scared and actually be who I am. And if people don't accept me for who I am, then it's not my problem, it's theirs. But just be more confident in myself and not to be scared.